Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we're one day from the election. We're going to talk a little bit about some of that here in a sec. First, let's look at this from Crypto Insight UK. Dream XRP scenario. I like this. XRP pumps into Trump win. Gensler sacked. Pump continues. Appeal drop. BlackRock ETF, XRPL. Memes go nuts. Everyone talking about XRPL. XRP leads altcoin season on a Bitcoin breakout. Sounds like a fun scenario to me. Look at this. Donald Trump is leading in 4 out of 6 swing states on the eve of the election, according to Poly Market. He's not just leading, he is crushing Kamala Harris in most of these. And I wouldn't believe for a minute, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me for a minute if he wins all 3 of these too. Then you've got this. JP Morgan estimates 60 to 70% chance of a Trump victory, forecasting a 5% USD rise on a red sweep and 1.5 to 2% with a split Congress. And then Good Morning Crypto had put out this video about how important
crypto investors, they could really move the needle in a presidential election.
About how important crypto investors are going to be to this election.
Crypto investors. 1 in 5 Americans owns cryptocurrency. And for the first time, those people could sway who becomes president.
Good morning to you both. You know, I find this fascinating because for the first time ever, these crypto investors, they could really move the needle in a presidential election. And a key reason is that crypto has become increasingly more mainstream. How a candidate plans to approach the space could really impact. So on the anywhere between 7 and 21% of Americans have invested in crypto. So on the low end, that's 18 million people. On the high end, that's 50 million people, right? So any way you slice it, that's a lot. Of those, close to 75% said they're going to consider a presidential candidate's stance when voting. So look, this could really play a big role in battleground states. For example, the Stand with Crypto PAC is sending what they're calling crypto advocates. In Arizona and Georgia, they already have more than 30,000 advocates. That's way more than the number of votes that Biden won in those states by. And because of those potential voters, right, the crypto money is flooding in like we have never seen before. The pro-crypto PAC Fairshake, it's raised over $200 million this cycle. That's one of the top PACs in terms of funds raised. So look, the takeaway here is if crypto owners are single issue voters, they could actually play a role in picking the next president. Okay, so former President Trump has kind of styled himself as the pro-crypto candidate. He has put forth a number of policies, adding Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, which like we hold gold, for example. He's also really focused on light touch regulation. VP Harris has not taken an official stance. She has met with industry leaders, but the Biden-Harris administration has been perceived as very anti-crypto by the industry. So I think a lot of the people that I'm talking to are saying like, look, she hasn't come out and said anything to distance herself from that. So we're not really sure what the administration.
You know, kind of like the same playbook that Gary Gensler's used, where he says, "Come in and talk to us," but they never will really tell you anything. They keep it vague so that they can just decide who they're going to sue. That's what Kamala Harris is doing with crypto. Doesn't say anything publicly, so it leaves her completely free to put her finger in the air and see which way the wind blows and do whatever she wants to do, instead of what she publicly said she would do, which is why these kind of things are hard to get your mind around, other than Ripple just wanting to hedge their bets. They've just hired Jim Green as Vice President Global Policy at Ripple. Look at his background. Staff Director, Technology for Obama. Finance Director for Kamala Harris for Attorney General. DNC Finance Political Consultant. And then look at this. This would go in the All the World's a Stage file, I believe. Ripple employed people from the New York Fed, Goldman Sachs, Apple, Google, NASA, NSA, Twitter, and early Bitcoin developers David Schwartz filed a patent similar to Bitcoin in 1988 and was a contractor for the NSA. XRP is a military operation, the final product. His words, not mine, folks. His words, not mine. And then the Black Swan Capitalist put out a couple interesting clips. Here's one.
Good question. And what I would say is we're returning to gold as a hegemonic asset. And central banks bought at record rates in 2023, and they accelerated purchases in the first half of 2024. So there is a money for interstate settlements, and it's called gold. And it worked for 3,000 years. We've had a 50-year hiatus where we went to dollars. We've seen that didn't work out very well. We're going back to gold. Now, but gold isn't the only asset. And what's interesting to watch is if these grain hubs expand to oil, to gas, to gold, then you have alternative barter currencies that you can stockpile if you have a currency that you don't want to hold.
Ooh, okay. Here's the IMF, former IMF, Christine Lagarde.
Linkages between payment systems. Because at the moment we have too fragmented a payment system around the world. As a result of which, if, for instance, people want to remit money back home, and it is the case for a lot of migrants who are working away from home and want to send their salary back home, it takes forever, it's very expensive, it does funny loop-the-loop circuits around the world for some countries. So interlinking payment systems so that people can actually transact easily and cheaply and transparently, so that remittances can go back to the Philippines or to Thailand or to Mexico in a smooth and cheap way. That is important. And it's the reason why we in Europe, we have a system which is called Target Instant Payment System, which applies to retail transactions and which within Europe work in that fashion: fast, cheap, transparent. And yesterday, or a couple of days ago, we announced that we were prepared to link that TIPS, this instant payment system, with other instant payment systems around the world. And they are blossoming.
Interesting clip. Look at this. Breaking Pakistan moves to legalize crypto with new amendments to the SBP Act. And then XRP drops. There's a couple interesting videos here.
Under the hood, BRICS-Pay uses a decentralized network of nodes operated by a consortium of financial institutions, including banks. What's interesting is that its list of members is kept private. And this makes us wonder if it's possible that institutions outside of the BRICS are also participating in this network. This would explain why the IMF reportedly began asking questions about BRICS-Pay shortly after it was announced.
You can be assured there's no telling who's involved in that. Okay, we've got one. I think this is the last video I wanted to show before we go into DAI XRP. Let me hit this one.
So Brittany, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I'm Brittany McClary. I'm the head of trust and safety at Gemini. I've been here for about 2.5 years. And prior to that, I was at other startups like Stripe, Directly, Uber, and Thumbtack. And before that, I was in the government for 10 years, most recently at the CIA as a counterterrorism analyst, and prior to that, a foreign service officer at the U.S. Department of State.
It's a hard act to follow.
It's funny, all these three-letter people that are close to crypto, huh?
Hi, my name is Philip Martin. I'm the Chief Security Officer at Coinbase. I've been at Coinbase just about 8.5 years. Was all throughout Silicon Valley, Palantir, Amazon, a few other smaller startups. And prior to that, I also spent 10 years in the government in the U.S. military focused on counterintelligence.
Yeah, so, you know, ironically, so did Anthony. Anthony Pompliano was military intelligence too. Folks, the writing's on the wall. Do you remember this clip of Greg Kidd at at XRP Las Vegas?
I'm to you right away. How did you go from bike messenger to Federal Reserve to Ripple to now running for Congress?
Wow, I must be at the wrong conference. I thought I was here for the Federal Reserve. But from listening to the presentations, there's something else going on here. Look, it has been a Forrest Gump story and walk. I did go from working for the Federal Reserve, which was, you know, the deep state, to a poker game with other deep state players, like from Google and Visa. And they talked about this new company. There was no Bitcoin company, but there was a company called Ripple. Google actually invested in it. And it was like the Bitcoin ledger, but with 2 extra columns in the spreadsheet. One for the issuer and one for the currency. And thank you to Arthur Brito and David Schwartz for educating me about what the future looked like. And I got to go from history world at the Federal Reserve to the whole new universe that XRP and Ripple brought. Taking something, which was an innovation, Bitcoin, and making it something that could apply to every form of value in the world. And Chris Larson talked about the Internet of Value. I was hooked. I was the one voice that said, hey, you know, maybe we need some risk management and compliance. And, you know, I think Chris probably said, like, why? What could go wrong? And, you know, the rest is history. And Ripple, I'm very proud, has also been on the forefront of sorting out the public policy issues that hold this incredible industry back. And yeah, I've been lucky. I've been a Forrest Gump approach and got a front row seat from when I joined. I was employee number 10 at Ripple, and look what it's become now.
Exactly. If you listen to those 2 videos and you're still wondering why I don't talk about meme coins and cartoon dogs on them, then you are never going to get it. Ripple is I'll say it again. Ripple is no ordinary company, and XRP is no ordinary digital asset. So I even slowed it down for you. Okay, in DAIXRP.com, you know, a lot of people go, oh, this is another election. I go to people's houses and, oh, yeah, it's just another election. Whatever. No, that's not what this is, folks. This is for all the marbles, and I'm going to show you just how terrifying that I believe things will slowly get if, I mean, they may not get this terrifying, but this is a terrifying scenario that I came across this weekend, and it is backed up by other things too, by the way. I'm going to show it to you. It's scary. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that at some point when you watch everybody, this is what I've been telling my friends for years. At some point, when you've got a government that's letting 20 million illegal immigrants in, and you've got a government that's doing everything to hurt Americans and the economy and seemingly try to collapse it, putting us into $30+ trillion in debt, and nobody's going to the microphone saying this has to stop today, not tomorrow, not next year. We've got to fix this now. You don't have anybody except Donald Trump even talking about it. In that, when at some point you have to ask yourself if the people in power are doing it to intentionally destroy this country. You have to ask that question. DAIXRP, just wait till you see this. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. I don't know if that's the second time I did that. I got in the zone there. Here we go.